Hello everyone, this is Fantastic Worlds, welcome you back to Lovecraft Country and the Secret World Interludes, a series in which we dive a little bit deeper into the location and lore of the Secret World. Yes, at the moment the main story may be over, but we still have some more of these episodes to go through that have been unlocked by, of course, our subscriber unlock stretch goals, which currently I think I'm about 3 episodes of these unlocked, of which this will be the first. Now, you may notice that after coming to the end, like most things, we've come right back to the beginning, and this is New York, where actually episode 1 occurred. We were summoned forth by the Illuminati to become a well-trod-upon toady of Kirsten Geary and the evils that she represents. And as you can see, this is the Brooklyn of 2012 to 2015, as envisioned by the creators. And I'm not entirely sure how familiar you are with New York, but this really looks like it's about 1920 heights when it comes to these buildings. In any case, this must be one of the more rundown sections. And of course, the first location that we always come to when we do the Illuminati is the laundromat. Now, the laundromat, of course, is the location of David Screed, the first main character that you will be interacting with, or, well, not main character, but character that actually has some interesting dialogue.
I just want to say that I'm probably not the guy you're looking for.
Well, at least you're being honest about it, and I appreciate that. But he is a standard conspiracy theorist. Now, of course, these days conspiracy theory has really gotten loaded as it's become a hotbed of, shall we say, extremist philosophy, but in the time that Screed was created, it was mostly considered to be a kind of a harmless side effect of people spending too much time staring at data and intuiting patterns that may or may not have been there. Of course, this being the secret world, those patterns were actually there. And Kirsten has actually stated that David Screed is actually an asset the Illuminati keeps in play, with his girlfriend over there apparently, who's may or may not be an android working for them, who is there to dump so much information out there. Most of it wrong, but a little bit of it right, that all the right stuff gets jumbled in and nobody ever discovers it. As Kirsten says, if the truth is on page 17 of a Google search, no one will ever find it. Okay, but he does have some dialogue about himself, and let's get to know Doug, shall we?
Look, who I am isn't important. What is important, what is vitally important, is raising awareness of the truth. You can quote me on that. David O. Screed, editor-in-chief, a weird non-fiction magazine. Maybe you read us. Or maybe they stopped you.
The amazing thing is I don't think they really have to stop us, because he's probably got like a WordPress blog somewhere at this point in 2015. WordPress is a thing. God, WordPress has been around for a long time. Mind my more casual attitude, since some things aren't trying to kill me. I'm actually going to be enjoying my coffee as we do this. Okay, so continue to tell me about yourself.
I'm talking the universal day. Puppet governments, they're shadow masters. Big Brother corporations, satanic cults, squid worshippers, the Knights Templar. Pick a card, man, any card. The wilder it is, the more out there it is, the better.
Now the question is whether he thinks these groups actually exist, or whether or not they're just providing content for his blog. Which he probably, I don't know if Patreon exists in 2015, I have to look that up, but essentially it's probably how he manages to support himself, that and of course of running the laundromat, which probably produces most of his income.
Don't you get it? Put all the madness in plain view, then they call us crazy. The moral panic never lasts. We're the sheep and they're the cooks.
Remarkably insightful regarding the nature of propaganda, although in 2015, like I said, propaganda was in its amateur stage.
I'm just one voice, but I am making myself heard. Subscriptions, mailing lists, my confidential mailing lists, they are doubling month after month. This is my time, my calling.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Mr. Screed here in 2021 would be, shall we say, deep in the Reddit boards complaining about the Jewish question or not, but I wouldn't say he'd be, completely opposed to it either. Whatever, of course, would increase his subscription base.
I'm ready. I tried to run from it once, as far away as we could get. To West Virginia? My parents lent me the money for the Amtrak back here.
Poverty does keep you in one place. It's an easy way to control you.
For a warehouse district, a dead neighborhood, this place sure gets a lot of traffic, don't you think? Not hipsters looking for rehearsal space. This is where the deeply incognito go to be found. The underground scene here? It's real deep underground, you know what I mean?
Technically, it's true. A lot of places in urban zones They attempt to find areas that are dead, so to speak. Now, this used to be more of a thing a few years back, but the increasing poverty rates in America, unfortunately, have made these areas overrun by the homeless camps, and as such, no longer quite as anonymous as individuals would like it to be. Now, the 90% of the people who went to these zones, so to speak, to not be seen, nobody was ever looking for them. It's kind of a conceit to think of yourself as a great threat to powers that have been about for centuries, don't you think, Doug? But hey, whatever gets Doug out of bed in the morning.
People watching not your style? We got your violence, we got your rituals. Check the back issues. Alligators in the sewers, giant squid washing up out of the East River, packs of wild dogs talking in Russian. I mean, this place is a fucking pre-gentrification spook central, huh? That's why I stay inside, man.
Now, the thing is that some of those are references to what's going on. After all, the werewolves that speak Russian, of course, are the products of the you'll find in Transylvania. Giant squid rolling up on the river is an actual scenario. Probably the scenario of the game. I don't know. Considering how tough it is and how people you're supposed to have, I don't know if I'll ever be able to manage to do it. I don't even think will ever have the item power to get, since, you know, since I'm no longer playing the game full, I'm kind of just check in every now and then to up myself a little bit. Go through the grind a bit, not be too far behind. Okay, so keep going.
Listen, I'm not an investigative journalist. I don't go door to door looking for trouble. I got a Dropbox for that shit. You want the wild stuff? Try to rockabilly vamp who runs the bookstore.
I would like there to actually be a rockabilly vampire running the bookstore. I don't think he's actually referring to any character here. I haven't met any.
I came here to go dark, to go native, darkly native, embedded. And we can almost make the rent on this place. It's condemned. In this messed up world, it might be the safest place to be.
I'm not going to say he's wrong in that thing. Although the fact that we couldn't afford a shoebox in condemned, even New York in 2015, really comes down when you really come down to it. So obviously Kirsten is arranged for them to live here on the edge so she can have this guy producing her garbage, as it were. Her static of that hiding the truth.
Think about that. Is some many-angled elder god really gonna make New York worse, huh?
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
First Manhattan, then all of New York. The Illuminati took this city like a fucking virus. They kept on hammering until we let them in, like those little porn pop-up windows that won't quit. Corruption as deep and wide as those quote-unquote closed subway tunnels under Atlantic Avenue.
I wonder if that's actually where the Illuminati headquarters are. But yeah, there's like browser attach-ons for those pop-ons, Doug, even in 2015.
Wall Street's their piggy bank. And Times Square? Strobe hypnosis. 30 milliseconds spliced in on every 1,337th frame. I have filmed it, and gone through all the data. The exposure almost killed me with a migraine. Just ask Penny. The old Penny. She was slipping something into the chicken soup. But I built up a tolerance to it.
Honestly, would you waste an android in this guy? I mean, he's just amusing to have around.
You're thinking I should confront the authorities, make sure my voice is heard. I can't hide in the laundromat forever, right?
No, actually.
Well, I can hide in the laundromat forever, and the magazine is my voice, my insurance.
Alright, there are worse life goals.
Look outside. What's even real?
Ugh.
They changed the rules, made a new reality. It's all fake, just boxes. Boxes and a dark sky.
Oh, Doug, if you actually knew it was out there. Well, if you did know it was out there, you'd probably go screaming mad and end up like virtually any other Lovecraftian protagonist. See what he actually thinks he knows about the secret world.
You want to talk about dark days? Listen, we are in the long shadow of 2012. It's hanging over us like the fucking Death Star, okay? I mean, I'm not saying it's the end. The Mayans were crazy mothers, but they weren't stupid. 2012 is the beginning of the end, a signal point, when all the lines start to come together.
Actually, he's quite correct in some of the readings of the Mayan prophecies of the end of their calendar. But essentially that it would be the end of an age, and it wasn't going to simply like turning a page, but literally the melding of the reality that we know and the reality to come. And frankly, if you look about here in 2021, as this is being recorded, I'm not entirely sure they were wrong.
And you will wake up one day, my friend, and find the world has turned into a screaming hell planet while you slept, thinking you were safe in your little bubble, okay? That's the risk you take every time you close your eyes.
Doug from 2012 is talking to you. Called it. Hashtag. Oh, do we have a new guy here? I just need to check. Oh, God, you're so sweet when you're starting out like that. Because this is, of course, the Illuminati path. This is the first cutscene. When the cutscene's going and there's somebody standing here, they're going to see you staring into space. It's kind of amusing. I'd like to be able to see the cutscene sometime where I'm in the background. But, you know, no modification of this game is going to happen anytime soon.
Day to day, it's like fucking Russian roulette. The gun of truth. The magic bullet. Pressed to the skull of the future.
Okay, you've lost me on that metaphor.
But you know, I salute you. I mean, I couldn't do it anymore myself. I couldn't take the uncertainty. So I really cut back on sleeping as much as I can, okay? I use vitamin supplements, energy drinks, nicotine gum, pop rocks, hairspray, that kind of shit.
Well, that explains his incoherence.
Not here. Not here, all right? There's only so much I can tell you. Living in their backyard, it pays not to lay a turd on the doorstep, you get me?
Not unsmart of you. Or almost smart of you, probably is what I was trying to say better.
But look, everything our nation has ever done, the good and the bad, it's all in their scheme. Their pyramid scheme. They pulled some body snatchers level shit on this country, man.
Oh, Doug, the Illuminati of this game would be kinder masters than the ones we have.
The Senate, the Army, the banks, the law firms, Hollywood, Fort Knox, Cheyenne Mountain, Disneyland, for Christ's sake. The USA became a superpower off of the Illuminati becoming the supervillain. This already happened.
Well, technically, he would be talking about what happened after World War II, when America slipped into the power vacuum that was created after the collapse of the other colonial powers, which is theoretically last until the 1990s, in which case everything became a plurality, which no one superpower. Now we're shifting around to another axis of superpowers, probably China, Russia, Saudi Arabia wants to be. Not sure they'll get there, though. Not that I know. Not that, you know. History seems to be one hell of a spectator sport.
What do they want? What do you give the conspiracy that has everything? Search me, my friend. I'm just trying to get by day to day on microwave ramen and paranoia. I mean, I don't hate them for, you know, anything other than abducting my girlfriend. But she knew the risks when she followed me down this road. And between you and me, Pennybot here, something else in the sack.
Never really answered whether or not she is an android. I mean, if I look at her, she comes across as level 50.
I just want to say that I'm probably not the guy you're looking for.
Yeah, level 50. Screen doesn't have a setting. She's probably a robot. But the question is why? Because it amuses them. The thing is, when you come down here for the first mission and you get that little cutscene where he tries to ramble on about you, and someone takes a photograph of both of you together, and he's like, "Oh, she's cool. She's my game master," or something like that, or I'm the game master of our local D&D group. That's actually the IT for the Illuminati. So yeah, the thing is that odds are he's still alive because that person doesn't want to find a new GM these days. Dungeon Master can mean something else entirely. Good God. Who's doing that? I used to have... Oh, is that it? The magazine over there? Okay. Sit in chair? No. It hasn't changed since 2013, huh? Hive mode for the post-mundane. Yeah, some of the outfits that people would create. Pose with. Model. That has, like I said, that was September 2013. It really hasn't updated since then. All right.
This place has, like, the best neighborhood watch in town.
Dude! Stop hitting the machines! Seriously, what the hell, dude? This isn't PvP. Oh god, I can actually feel how uncomfortable those chairs would be to sit in from here. Anyways, yeah, so let's talk about that. David, I love him. He's a beginner of a few missions. I just wish they'd done more with him. Oh, look in the background there. Who would that be other than Samuel? Yeah, you can see one of the end bosses in the very beginning. Oriochi, the future is now, and they're moving into Illuminati neighborhood with billboards. God, Kirsten must be furious with that. But, as you can see right here, we are, of course, in the warehouse district. This being, of course, one of the warehouses. Hey, dude, I'm with the band. But, as you can see, we're on the East River, which is one of the most polluted rivers in the world. The Thames and a few places in China and India kind of are a bit more than that. But, yeah, visible wall, we can't get any closer, which kind of sucks, by the way. But, yeah, these streets have the obvious urban decay. Dude. Anger issues. But, yeah. It kind of reminds me of the water in Tokyo. That strangely it's filthy without extra dimensional. And you pop in there to go into Illuminati. Now, we've covered Illuminati in a previous episode. In fact, the first interlude episode that was kind of inspired by all of this. But as you can see here, we've only got a few blocks to actually deal with. Now, this does feel like the warehouse districts in practically every single city I've ever been in. And I've been in quite a few. Ooh, God, how do I get up there? Yeah, don't mind me. Got the attention span issues here. Yeah, the way to get that would be up here. Let's see. Do I even have that option? Can we? No? Alright. Someday I'm actually going to dedicate myself to doing these. Like I said, there is that one I wanted to do if we get 1,000 subscribers, start the Lore Hunter episodes. In which case I'll probably have to look up how you get up there. It's probably staring me right in the face and I can't see it. I mean, do I jump here? Then jump up here? Yeah, I see what I mean. Can I even just... Ah, well. They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. In which case, I am probably very insane. So, honestly, there's less graffiti here than there are. Now, the thing is, let's talk about Samuel and his campaigns here. Notice how clean with his lines right here he is compared to things like the urban decay around him. It's a very deliberate attempt to create the idea that he provides order among chaos, which is kind of where all of the autocratic movements come from. That idea that, you know, a big, strong man can provide you the security that's lacking from the system. Now, down here is one we're going to take a quick look at it called the Fight Club. In other words, it's an area where we can do PvP, which is not something I do because not being a supporter, or not supporter, patron, or whatever, they're not doing the monthly pay or a month for additional benefits, including, by the way, the daily ability to unlock one of the precious, precious little packets of... not be able to unlock one of the precious little packets of these things right here, the caches, every day, because you get a key a day if you're one of the patrons playing on here. It means that I'm significantly behind anybody who does. But here's the thing I really want to show you guys. So you notice this picture right here, the surgeon with the crazy. Now that's not actually random graffiti, because you notice it doesn't even match the style of the others. That's actually an advertisement for a place called the Modern Prometheus. And let's go visit the local street doc and see what he has to say. Yeah, do you even... Some people who play this probably don't even know this exists. Just take a look at that loading screen. This is going to let you know what you're in for. Right then, the Modern Prometheus. The... Oh, for God's sakes, put that away. Rude. Yep. And nurse. Kind of a little creepy, standing there. Benavides, it's a slaughterhouse. Yes, he's keeping a surgery in a slaughterhouse, so you know this place can't be terribly hygienic. That is Dr. Aldanini. Now, Dr. Aldanini had some interesting missions every now and then when there was a number of them released where you discovered about his illegal experimentation on reanimated tissue. You find out that he is actually descended of Dr. Frankenstein, because this being, of course, that all... myths, all urban legends, all the concepts that you find hidden in the back of our minds, in the imaginations, in the dark truths, exist. So therefore Frankenstein exists, despite of course being a fictional book, both in our universe and this universe. So I don't like usually talking to a person's back.
They see me as a monster, me, the one who toils to improve the human condition, to improve upon God's work to make humanity perfect. Fools!
God, I love you old school bryonic anti-heroes. The Frankenstein is a bryonic anti-hero. What it means is that he's essentially somebody whose hubris will destroy him, even though he's not an evil man. Now, the actual sin of Frankenstein, by the way, is not the production of synthetic life. After all, this point in timeline, 2021, the idea of synthetic life is kind of what people expect to happen at some point in the future. I have my doubts, mind you, but some people expect there to be the ability to generate synthetic life. The sin of Dr. Frankenstein was that he did not care for it. He basically ran away from it because he found it hideous. And, that just causes trauma for everyone. And the next thing you know, your kid's murdering your wife. And, things go downhill from there. Anyways, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't read the actual book, Frankenstein. I do recommend it, 1897, but oh my god, the thing's still a wonderful read. Tell me about yourself, Doc.
Giovanni Aldini, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, was the inspiration for Dr. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley, that thieving little bitch, never gave credit where credit is due. Her wretched toddler book was based on private conversations he had with Giovanni Aldini at Lake Garda.
That is the spot, by the way, where Frankenstein was written on one rainy day when the four people, Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, a couple others, were challenged to write a ghost story. And there's one other book that was written during that time that survived, and one that didn't, that everybody thought was pretty bad, so no big loss there. But Frankenstein's the one everybody remembers. And I can't remember, I believe the other one was one where Lord Varney was a vampire and destroyed women's lives through immoral actions or something like that, and it was revived by moonlight. It wasn't super great. I mean, it's readable. It's far readable than The White Worm by The White Worm by the why is my mind doing this? Same guy who did Dracula. If you ever really want to punish yourself, go read The Lair of the White Worm by Bram Stoker. There we go. My brain seems it wants to function again. Bram Stoker wrote several books. You'll never hear about them because, unfortunately, soon after Dracula, he develops syphilis, which unfortunately attacks the mind, which means that if you read the stuff that comes afterwards, it begins to become less and less coherent. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Moving on.
I have sworn to continue his life's work to bring pride once more to the Aldini name. And this, my surgery, this is just the beginning. Tinkering with living flesh is just a side project, a hobby. It's a way to finance my true undertaking. You're so lucky to be here at the birth of a new science, a new breed of humanity born out of these hands. It's the hands of a true artist.
Sorry, I had to readjust there. Didn't mean to interrupt him. Yeah, the thing is that what he was talking about, what Mary fucking Shelley was talking about in 1897, mind you, was the concept of post-humanism. Now, post-humanism is the idea that we can use self-directed evolution through technological processes, either genetic or cybernetic, in order to become more than human. Now, the thing is that this actually continued and as a concept for literary, but in the seminal book Neuromancer, technically Snow Crash comes earlier, but Cyberpunk and its tenets were pretty much created by William Gibson and Neuromancer, in which it couples that idea with the growing amorality of the human condition and the idea of whether or not morals that are human, the standard, would in fact be carried over into a higher being. Also, Neuromancer and the two other books of what's called the Sprawl Trilogy by Gibson are cosmic horror, and I will back that up if I have to. Seriously, you may or may not realize that, but there are alien gods in that trilogy. It's just that everybody gets distracted by the girl with razors under her fingers.
Giovanni Aldini, my great-great-great-great.
Oh, wait, why are you repeating yourself?
Dr. Frankenstein.
Sorry about that, guys.
That thieving little bitch never gave credit where credit is due. Her wretched toddler book was based on private conversations he had with Giovanni Aldini at Lake Garda.
So, okay, my apologies. I missed that icon.
Look around, look at all this. This was a filthy abattoir. Hard to believe, isn't it? Now, Selma has done wonders to this place. She has the heart of an interior decorator and the mind of a dominatrix.
Yeah, you are the sub.
Oh, she's also a trained nurse. Not that your hospitals would recognize her credentials. The bureaucracy and politics of the medical establishment is the antithesis to progress.
Antithesis, is that how you pronounce it? Alright, cool. Let's see. Yep, we still got more.
This is why we have built our own clinic. Who needs a medical license when you can cater to sophisticated clientele such as you and your kind? A clientele that appreciates artistry and is willing to, let's call it, bypass traditional channels for sake of beauty and perfection. For the sake of science and progress.
You know, postmodernism actually goes hand in hand with a concept that has been referred to, although I think it's pretty egotistical to do so, the Dark Enlightenment, with the idea that scientific progress could not occur if you bound yourself by ethical standards. You know, why deny the great things that may happen by experimenting on thousands of individuals who and ignoring their human rights in order to discover something that might prolong the human race's achievements longer? And when you're making the same arguments as GLaDOS and Adolf Hitler, you're in the wrong. I hate to tell you that, because ironically, when they actually pulled the records from the Nazis, when, of course, they liberated the areas they captured, they found they actually hadn't discovered anything with their little experimentations. They literally were just using processes that didn't even make sense in scientific, except in their own little heads, you know, like pumping people full of chemicals that they thought would do something, you know, insert joke about taking horse paste for COVID at the time, and essentially calling that science and saying, you know, we don't need peer reviews or people telling us it's really bad to poison people accidentally. We just need to really keep doing this and we'll eventually make more progress. The trick is with that is they don't really make more progress by simply abandoning standards. You just make more of a mess.
Here we can explore the outer limits of science, and we can cross ethical and moral boundaries, and we can make art carved in flesh.
I want you to try to imagine this guy's browser history looks like.
Listen, I can remake you. Those lips, that nose, the color of your eyes, the wrinkles and imperfections in your skin, it's all malleable. It's all a canvas for my science, my art.
All right, so we come to the actual purpose of this character in the game that remains. He's no longer a quest giver, which is really a shame because I love to have run down his missions sometime. He's in the original Secret World. He did have those. They just didn't get brought over. There's a whole bunch of them, including the actual end of the original game, which is the Manufactoria, which actually we get that epilogue episode done. I will go into as well because it is part of the connection between this and the Moons of Madness, which is 2047 sequel. Anyway, so yeah, if you pop over there to that bed, wait, you don't have, sorry, I took out the cursor, so you can't actually see me pointing at it. You pop over the bed, you can change your appearance. It can cost you X resources and probably marks of favor. And you can completely remake your character from beginning to end, but you know how it is. I like hipster dude. Get that casual look. Of course, I've got the whole bleeding dark fluid from the eyes thing going on right now, but it's the season of Halloween. It's my right.
For a nominal fee, a token charge, you can let me sculpt your flesh, shape your bones, paint you with a brush dipped in blood and tissue.
Now, what the interesting thing is that we're not actually a physical body, if you recall. We're solidified anima, which is probably the reason why he actually can survive this thing and why his only clientele in-game are bees, because it doesn't really matter what he does to our bodies. We'll regen, if necessary, teleport away and reconstitute ourselves, but in-game that never actually happens. It's just I don't think a human would survive his services.
Anything you want changed, I can change. It's true. Everything except your sex. I can't do that yet, but I am working on it. It's only a matter of time. Gender is an illusion, a thing of flesh and thought, quickly altered through paraplasticism. Well, you can come back anytime. My scalpel will be waiting for you.
Now that's the thing I always was kind of odd is the fact that, first of all, it's kind of interesting that he has the whole gender is just a societal construct thing in 2012 when the game came out. But this has actually been going on for a while. But he can't do a sexual reassignment surgery. I mean, apparently satisfied customer. I mean, seriously, dude. It's like been technology from at least the 1970s. I don't think he reads most of the modern day periodicals for medicine anyways. Probably still going by the usual books of alchemy. The Ars Goetia, your thing, dude? Alright, so yeah. Can't see those. But as you can see, I'm never quite sure what he's supposed to be doing. He's doing here. But I think that's a pig's head. Now, this may seem a little odd that he would use pigs, but pigs actually biologically match humans. There are transplants you can do, such as hearts, where pig tissue can be used with little chance of rejection by the human form. It's not really necessary these days, but, you know, as tech goes up and down, I'm guaranteed they'll be doing it again. On the other hand, I think you'd want it to be a bit fresher in this doc. Necrosis is a terrible way to go. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I want to test his browser history. But as you can see, if you ever want to change your appearance, you can do so by running over here. Let's get out of here. I need some fresh air. And here we are at the delightful entrance. Well, you know, I will take the smog over what that place must have smelled like. Now, again, as you can see, there is a couple other things of note here. Now, the park itself, for example, has this... Should be here, yep. This as the Manhattan Exclusion Zone. That's the scenario I spoke to you about before. Now, the thing is, in the current game, yeah, this is this thing here, and it's like group size 10 agents, required level 50. Like I said, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to that. But essentially, it's about Cthulhu walking in like a kaiju. And he just busting up the place. In fact, the end of the tutorial mission starts you off with seems to be a dream of that happening in the future, so it becomes kind of a full loop kind of thing. Screed's actually the one who'll give you the mission, but I think you have to go to the central zone to you have to go to the board in Agartha to pick it up. In any case, there is one other thing I wanted to tuck back into the headquarters for, because there is a person I forgot to talk to. I didn't even know that she existed when I made the Illuminati one in episode 1. So, yeah, the hacker. Now, I started talking to her during one of the missions where I discovered her existence, and then I realized that she had way too much dialogue. It was going to take so much of that episode. So, instead, we're just going to run in. Where is she, anyways? I thought she was over here. I must have been wrong. Can't dive into the sewers. Why not? There you go. We already had 2 sewer layers here. Why not just have another one? Okay. Where are you? Ah, there you are to the south. Never mind. Seriously? This place is a maze, literally. Okay. Alright. Never mind. As you can tell, sometimes, I mean, I spend so little time in this particular base, it's ridiculous. Okay, it's over here, I think. She's down here. The IT woman. I don't think I want to know what he says. The server room. Now, as you can see, IT is never treated well by any corporation. Illuminati is not going to do so. But this woman right here...
To my robot empire.
This woman is the woman you don't want to piss off. Leia Cassini has pointed out that she is, in fact, the IT person and a member of Doug's D&D group. And apparently you can get takeout at the secret headquarters. You know, direct delivery. Okay, well, you know, the Illuminati's probably like an open secret. It's probably as bad as Torchwood was back in Series 3. Alright, so yeah, Leia's got a lot of dialogue to go over. It's because she sees everything. This person runs the Illuminati. All the people who sit behind desks and make decisions are just yammering into air, but she is the tech that makes it come real. So, I know we started this before long ago, but let's do this properly. Tell me about yourself, Leia.
Tell you a little about myself? No way. I've data scraped enough matchmaking sites to know where that leads. Anyway, I'm busy tonight. Security review, compiling, benzodiazepines on the rocks.
Yeah, well, you know, you're probably not my type anyways.
Sure, it's pretty cool down here. You probably wouldn't understand, but out behind the soundproofing and the two-way mirrors and the chemical deterrents in the guts of the labyrinth, I feel like a kid on a sleeping giant. dreaming the traffic of the world.
She is in one of the most secure places in the entire world right here. And sitting on the power that rules nations. It's a hell of a feeling sometimes just to be in the proximity of power.
It's not like I'm power tripping. It's mostly running numbers and server calls and, you know, really voyeurism loses its edge after about 20 minutes of your first Illuminati office party. I'm about challenging myself with solutions for data management. And in this place, I get to manage, like, all the data. Also, my therapist said I could try to ease myself slowly into enjoying human interactions through observing them.
You know, there's kind of a trend where the data techies are all presented as neurodivergent and socially inept, but that's really more of a stereotype than a reality in my experience. Usually, in order to be able to understand data well, you need to be able to understand the people who produce it well. I mean, a lot of times I will see people who model something in mathematics when it comes to trying to do predictions and such and get completely wrong because they don't realize that humans just aren't numbers. They're confused, panicky, biological organisms.
I wouldn't usually come straight out with something like that, but on current projections, it's 50-50 we won't see each other again because you get killed anyway. The beauty of our system is that you're still indelibly recorded. Think of it as your 15 terabytes of fame.
Memeable.
You will always be part of the Illuminati in some data warehouse.
Nah, that's a way of looking at it. We are all just stories in the making, and some of those stories are carried digitally.
Yeah, the secret world, with more major air quotes around the secret every day. I was already over it. If you want to see the most fucked up things ever, just go online. Real talk, don't act like I haven't got access to all your chat logs.
I don't do chat logs.
Because we grew up alongside the internet. We were the first desensitized generation with our machine God-given ability to see everything wrong with the world all of the time. Even back in the 1980s, the Illuminati had predicted the internet would change everything.
Yeah, except you're 10 years behind some of the scientists at the time. They knew, around the 1970s, they knew that the increasing ability to track people via data was just going to make life completely different. And it has. Don't think it's made it for the best, mind you, but it's changed.
Not just gonzo conspiracy theorists being able to barf all over Usenet,
Oh, God.
but that in 30 years, anyone could record an exorcism on their mobile phone and upload it to YouTube.
Which has
No more
happened.
secrets.
Gods. Not only that, they still have recordings 1970s that was done in East Germany of a exorcism. God, the movie, the Exorcism Emily Rose is based off. Don't bother seeing that film; it's terrible. But the exorcism attached to it's kind of interesting. Now, if I actually ever think about it, while I'm producing this, I'll put a link to an excellent retelling of that one with some of the recordings they have on there. And by the way, I wouldn't spend too much time with the recording, no more than probably the episode does, because sometimes you just don't want to leave yourself open.
So they had to control it. They planned out the networks like bonsai. A nip here, a tuck there, always a backdoor access. Blowing, then pricking the .com bubble, for which I am super thankful because it was a really shitty gig. And we have the kill switch for the whole thing. In case of emergency, break world.
Which would be a good way to get rid of, say, a magnetic virus that's passing across the internet, or John. Now, John doesn't exist in 2046, we know that. We know the Dreamer's lost, so considering he lives in a digital existence, I think that that's probably how they killed him. They literally deactivated the entire internet at once and left him nowhere to go. And with no data storage, just like, would you exist? Think about it, your data storage is contained between your ears in a liquid matrix. If that goes, where do you go?
Let me guess, Rockstar, you want to know where the party's at. It's underground, and no, I can't spoof you through the security gates if you don't already have clearance. When you were headhunted, did they run that whole work hard, play hard spiel? Exactly. So because we choose the young and hungry, new hires always see this gig as slam dunking a few deals, getting loaded, and dancing badly to those rap videos we seed with all-seeing eye imagery.
Nothing like being played, huh? Yeah, don't ever assume that you're going to be in the in crowd in any organization you do so, because the interior of any organization requires at least 10 people suffering to give them their privileges.
Don't get me wrong, It's not like that doesn't happen. They call it team building. Or sometimes team building means waterboarding, just to keep agents guessing.
Can't actually suffocate, which make that kind of more frustrating for the torturer.
You really want to make the VIP list at the pyramid? I recommend finding something that makes people afraid of you, then getting really good at it. My talent is having admin-level access to all the board members' hard drives. Basically what I'm saying is no one even invites me out anymore. It sucks ass.
Well, that's what happens. Once you have the power to be able to determine your destiny like that, nobody wants to chill with you because they look at you and they wonder if they do or say the wrong thing, or maybe if they just don't say anything at all and you take it the wrong way, you'll destroy them. But on the other hand, you're safe. So this becomes the question of what you're willing to do in the world. To bear power is to make yourself unapproachable, but to be approached, it leaves you vulnerable. Now, the traditional way of saying that is, okay, everybody should be vulnerable and be all okay, and I don't think that's actually the case. I think there's got to be a balance between the two. I don't think, this is the right balance, the Illuminati, mind you, but I don't think a world of where everybody was equally vulnerable to each other would be quite the paradise that some thinks it would. Templars.
The Templars really do have a direct line back to Babylon, yada yada, which coincidentally is pretty much where their computer literacy peaked. Millions in old money, heavily armed goon squads across the world, but security vulnerabilities like you wouldn't believe. I'm talking plain text passwords. If they roll up and tell you they're gonna save your soul, you say, guys, I wouldn't trust you to save my credit card info.
All right, I'm with her on this one. A lot of the old institutions have no idea. I mean, if you look, go sometimes check out Violet Blue Security Roundup. You can Google that for a Patreon on that one. But she does a weekly thing about just how bad every organization screws up with security. Plain text passwords, yeah. For hardcore data, I mean, a lot of the quote unquote right-wing freedom speech social media substitutes they're trying to create now have been nothing more than honeypots for whatever organization wants to get their data, because usually they're not the ones who understand technology too well. And of course, old school money has no idea how to do so. They hire people to do it, and those people will, in fact, as she put in backdoor access to anything they want. So when you really come down to it, the technological elite one day will be those people who can code, and they will control this system of whatever exists at that time. Now, I have the opinion we're probably going to crash the entire system and go back to the Dark Ages at some point, simply because that's how history rolls.
They got hit by rapid modernization really hard, clocked on their asses hard, and never really recovered enough to stop us climbing over them. I can't sympathize, but I can understand it. Imagine your institution is built on knowledge being power, and now anyone with a web browser can be like, here you go, boom, cover-to-cover scans of the Key of Solomon.
Overrated. Yeah, I'm not looking over at what I've managed to get. Yeah, I've been raiding a pre-Gnostic literature about the beginning of the universe, and the periods before that for my personal reading entertainment. So the stuff you really still can't get online. I mean, I basically had to dig deep to get it. But yeah, the thing is that if I really wanted to, I could transpose that thing onto the internet real fast. I mean, somewhere somebody would be upset about a copyright, but we're talking like a university professor, and I don't think, and if he's got more than 4 numbers in the people who have read that book so far outside of the actual seminary circuit, I'd be impressed.
That sound you hear, like breaking china, it's the sound of 1,000 little oligarch dreams collapsing around them. History isn't written by the victors anymore. It's rewritten by the Wikipedia vandals.
Oh, we're truly an age of chaos. Speaking of,
I love these guys. Really fun from a predictive security perspective, trying to guess what they'll come up with next if even their agents don't know. They've always gone hard on the secret part of secret society.
True. Yeah, the thing is at some point I'm going to have to do one of the other factions in their missions for these episodes. And if you've got a preference of it being the Templars or the Dragons first, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if somebody actually got to this point of the episode. But if that's the case, I mean, I have to choose. I will choose. I'm not going to tell you which of the two I choose because I want to see what you want first. But The thing is that they're kind of opposites, with law in the concept of the Templars and chaos in that of Dragon.
I wouldn't call them really web-facing, but they're pros, naturals, at weaponizing the internet. See, back when the information was precious and traveled slowly, the Dragon worked silently. Now we have so many sources that can be triggered immediately. They can be as loud as they like in the information chaos.
Hide in plain sight.
The world being how it is, and people being how they are, it just takes one scare gone viral, one tweet to set it off. In the hysteria of heightened awareness, our chances of isolating the event that's actually happening are like zip.
Yes, 2021, 2012 wants to tell you that they saw this coming.
So, we become as paranoid as those numerology conspiracy nuts who think math is an Illuminati plot, and we jump at everything that goes wrong. Sometimes it really was the Dragon. Sometimes your day just sucked. Lose, lose.
All right, let's see what her opinion of the Morning Light is. I've already expressed what I think about it, but let's see what the person in the know thinks.
Right. The happy self-improvement church of the apocalypse.
I like that.
Fastest growing web presence of the decade, because their new followers drop out of other social networks. The networks are freaking out, offering Morning Light the metrics they sell to advertisers. It's wild.
That would be actually something to look out for in the real world, too. What happens when you realize that the corporations that run our social media will sell whatever they think will get the biggest numbers. It's one of the reasons why we have so much of the conspiracy theorists and individuals who are talking race realism and the ability to stuff that has elder protocols of Zion, because they give them the metrics. People talking about how well their cat's doing don't give them the metrics. And conflict, trauma, fear. Well, hey, it used to say in the 1970s when it came to the news, if it bleeds, it leads, and there's a lot of blood in the water these days.
Average global response time for a Morning Light representative to hit a forum thread discussing trigger topics like unemployment, depression, economic uncertainty is 45 minutes. We looked into it, and there's no spam bots, no automation. That means thousands of manual searches and responses. Hello, crazy cult.
If you remember the episode prior to this, in the Interludes, if you were there, we saw one of those groups. Now, that particular one was just a call center one, but if you could multiply that area by, let's say, every large urban center in the world, possibly with multiple centers in there, and people going 16-hour shifts like crazy, trying to monitor all of this, and this is happening in the real world. Have you ever heard of the concept of a troll farm? That's an example of a very specialized version in which people will sit there and bring directed, targeted harassment and disinformation by government or non-government organizations, although they really starting to blur at this point, to try to warp the perspectives of that. I mean, Cambridge Analytica and its renamed current form, whatever the hell it is at the time of this recording, is essentially this like crazy, but using automation. Now, the reason why the Morning Light doesn't have to use automation is they're using black magic. And frankly, I'm not going that far when it comes to people on the internet these days.
And still, Morning Light are filed under not an issue on our grand plan, even though our spooks are all, hello, red flag, red flag. It's like we've got a game of internet chicken going on to see who blinks and commits an atrocity first. Maybe the situation right now is where that's got us.
It is, actually. One of the reasons that the Morning Light doesn't show up as a threat on these guys is, again, they're thinking like early 20th century when it comes to their threat modeling. They're thinking about wars. They're thinking about economic manipulation and stock markets. They are not thinking about the 10,000, 10 million, 10 trillion different sort of micro transactions, not just of money, but of people interacting in the internet, in the world, in the communication that is creating essentially its own weather storm of operations. Some people are trying to manipulate that for their own particular purposes, and they're going to do so by 10,000 small parts, because it's harder to detect, shall we say, an army of fleas than it is a ravening wolf. I think that's the right metaphor.
Well, it's not my place to talk policy unless it's IT policy. Not like anybody pays any attention to that either. I'm wasted here. No, I mean, I really am wasted.
Yeah, in all senses of the word, because after a while, yeah, you see all this pills she's got going here. Not only does she have to deal with what must be a soul-crushing workload, because did you see anybody, you know, got her back here? She's also got to deal with the fact that she's working for people who are dumber than her, which is why I've always said that the world should be run by the PIT people and the other people who actually know what's going on. Let the scientists and technology people do so. Now, granted, we just saw Dr. Illuminati, and I wouldn't like him in charge of thing, but he's kind of really bad at that sort of operational stuff, and he's not terribly interested in it. I think the best social change could be done by people who understand how, you know, society actually works, not those people who just own a lot of things. Anyways, so that is probably what is remaining of what I call the big rotten apple. So, and boom, we got night outside. Thing is that I've actually been to New York once before. It's not really one of the huge places I go for tourism or anything like that, because it's just a bunch of buildings, like a lot of other buildings. And the ones that are unique, the ones that go to tourists, you have those selections just about everywhere else. The actual life of a city would be found in its people, and something about New York, both in fictional and reality, seems a little quiet for me in the wrong ways. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hold on. Oh, God. How did I miss this for so long? Oh, good Lord. Here we go. They're everywhere. Reach for the sun. Anyways, yeah, the morning light. And basically, it's what if Scientology really did have access to a dark god? Anyways, as I was saying before, this is probably an example of where the vitality of an empire fades. What's left behind are the buildings and dreams and tired old factions competing for the remaining crumbs. It's why you've probably only got one anima pocket here. Because when you come right down to it, life is gone from this place. It is a place of memory and dreams of what have happened before. And the day will come, as all days come, when all dreams... Let's see, can we sit down here? Cool. When all dreams come to an end, and we level the stories of each carved in each brick down back into the earth, and we begin again, and we create new ones. But in the meantime, those of us, the children that are born in the shadow of empires and the ambitions of our elders that have come to not come to fruition. God, my brain's going to that. Yeah, we sit and we watch, and we sit and we watch the dreams fade, and we wonder, I guess, sometimes. Would have been better off of being born in the dawn rather than the dusk. Anyways, this is Fantastic Worlds. It's probably a bit more model than he really has any right to be. Saying farewell from Lovecraft Country and the Secret World Interludes. Hope you enjoyed this little one. I know it's not a lot going on in the hub levels, and like I said, we'll tackle the rest too. And again, we'll tackle the Dragon and the Templars and the other material that I can get access to. Like we aren't seeing Cthulhu in Times Square anytime soon, I'm afraid. But hell, I'd love to do that. In any case, I will see you next time.
You will see the dawning of a new age. To be a monarch or a beggar. To lose everything or to become a god. To stand with us or against us. The choice is yours.